How's it going? I just thought I'd make a quick tutorial. I apologize, I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm a little bit stuffy, but yeah, I just wanted to show you quickly how you could maybe set something up that's similar to what I've just done in that fun little experiment that I was playing around with. So if you load up Unity 6 and you bring in URP, if you bring in the Samurai Empire project, it will come in like this now. We actually have, now that we're releasing with the URP, we can actually include the post effects. So, the scene will already come in looking a lot better than previously looked, but I just wanted to give you guys some tips on how you can potentially get a look on that. There's some lighting in post it looks like that scene that I made. So first things first, we get a camera. We need to put it in a position that we think is going to be good for those characters. Now, I did actually delete the wall here, so we'll put the camera in there, and then we'll just get rid of the wall. That will give us, yeah, there you go, something similar for a position to start in. The next critical thing we need to do is get a character in there because it'll set our scale and our, where's the characters? Here we go. And then we go, I think this guy, was that the one? Yeah, this guy. That'll give us our scale and that'll get us something we can use as a point of reference as well. So I might, scale's pretty okay. We can play with that. Another thing to do is maybe you might want to, once you've got a character in there, start framing it a bit better. So you can do something like this. Also, I think I had a bit of an angle on there just because it looked cool. So you can do something like that as well. The next thing to do is to go through and find the lighting and then probably just turn it off and start from scratch. It will take a little bit to update. There you go. And then we probably want to do something like chuck up moonlight in there. So we can go like this. We'll put up moonlight, something like that. We don't want it too heavy. We make sure that we've got shadows on, soft shadows. That's kind of cool. I guess we're getting the shadow of all this other crap in there, and I don't really want to have to go through and delete it all just to be quick. So I'll just put the shadow somewhere else. That'll do. And then we just make the light kind of like a blue color. That'll get us a night scene. The next thing is the skybox in there is not good. It doesn't really match what we want. So if we go rendering lighting, we bring the lighting box up here. We can go through and we can set up the environment. I think it's got fog in there at the moment. Let's have a quick look. So this stuff will take a little bit as you turn it on and off, unfortunately. So I don't. Yeah, there we go. So fog. We could probably bring the fog in a bit and we can play around with having that as like the color for the fire. So yeah, if we have like a hazy fire and kind of keep it like that, it looks good. I don't know if we want that skybox in there. And I don't know how we set that up. Oh, we've got that on the camera. Yes. I will just, for sanity's sake, I will just find something in here that I can use as a blocker. There we go, probably something like that. And I'll just put that in there. You'd do this probably with an actual skybox. Oh, no, actually that sky's okay. We'll go with the sky. There's a building here that I kind of like. So maybe we can just like, where is that building? Maybe we can grab that building and just like shift it into the shot. It looks a bit cooler. That's good. And then we want to get some effects in there. So we just want to go and find our effects, which are in here. So if we just type fire in and then change this to prefab, we should just get the prefabs. That's the search bar, by the way. And then we can put some fires in here. We can see them as they're going. Boom. Fire. Fire. I don't know. Some little fires. No, it's the old fire. I don't want that. Little fire there. So, you just want to chuck a couple of those in. You might want a couple of big fires in the background as well to kind of help bring the scene alive. So there you go. To get a couple of fires. Now it comes down to the lighting. So if we go lighting, we go point light. We just chuck one of these in here. We can start putting our lights in. So we want to get that to a fire color. Know roughly that. We increase the intensity, and then we might want to put shadows on it. And we want to make the range bigger. So the range is how far it projects. And then the intensity is how bright it is. So we might want to be like, there you go. And that gives us a little bit of lighting on the back of the character. And then we might want some more fire coming from here. We might want some more lighting here, but we don't want it too bright here because it's going to just blow out the middle of the shot. So we probably want like something like that. That's looking pretty good. And then we need to think about our character. Okay. Yeah, figured it out. Nice and easy. So we just basically grab a light in the scene. We move it over here. I've already set the character mesh to be using the light layer. I mean, you can use one or two, whatever. Basically just need to make sure you change that light layer from everything to just one of the layers. And then we can go through here and we can essentially take this light here and we can set it to only use that light layer. So if you go there and we turn off, so we turn on light layer 1 and we turn off default, it means it will only light the character and not anything else in the scene, which means we get a little bit more control over how the character's lit. So we can basically bunch it up a little bit without blowing the scene out. So we punch it up, and then we might want to take that over here, and we might want to have another light over here. We might want to have it as like a backlight blue. We might want to pull that down a little bit. But we still probably need some shadowing from that character. So we just need to make sure this light's casting a shadow. So we might want to also make sure that these other lights are set to using some of these things as well. Otherwise, we won't get any shadow lighting on the ground. So that's pretty good. The next couple of things we need to do is we need to go into the settings for the scene, which is down here, and we go to the PC renderer. We just need to make sure all these things are set up right. We need to make sure ambient occlusion is on if we want it. I'll just check that once it's loaded. So we can, yeah, we can basically have ambient occlusion in there. I don't know if we need much of that. It is nighttime. A little bit might be cool. Let's just put a little bit of that on so we get those barrels kind of like hidden there a little bit. Actually that character's starting to get a little bit hidden, so we could probably bring this light here over and just raise it up a bit. And then also maybe just make the color of that more interesting. So there we go. So our character's starting to stick out a little bit better. Cool. Next things that we need to do is go to the RP rendering thingamajiggy, and then we want to just check and make sure everything looks good in here. We could probably turn anti-aliasing up, do like some AA. You can use other stuff as well. Shadow Atlas resolution. We may as well just go full 8K for this render. May as well just make it look really nice and juicy. We could probably grab another character just to help. We chuck this guy in, easy. And then same thing, you could add a render layer for that character. We may as well actually just set that character to the, where is that, rendering layer, that one there, bump, do the same thing, and then we could just, yeah, basically just chuck a couple more point lights around if we really wanted to. But we'll get into the global volume part of this. So global volume is in the scene. That's where your post effects are. Being nighttime, we need to change these because they've been set up for daytime scenes. So you've got color adjustments in there and stuff like that. We might want to like punch the contrast up a bit. We might want to pull the saturation down slightly. And then you can kind of maybe fiddle around with these a little bit until you get something. I think kind of we want like a warmer shot just because it's kind of, that was the vibe I was going for. And then you get your shadows and midtones down here. So you can do those if you want, just to randomly push in a direction. I don't know. You have to play around with it. And the main thing is because we've got lots of fire in the scene, we should have some bloom. I like dropping the threshold down so that it has more bloom. And then increasing and then probably having like less intensity as well. So just having a little bit of that there. We now include a lens flare, lens dirt, so you can actually see that there as quite a bit of like nice post there. And then the last thing is if you really want to, you could add I think I had depth of field on there. Yeah, so you can use this as well. You just go there and you go Gaussian, and then you just set these, and then you can go I mean this is a real, you know, I'm not an expert at this. You want to set your start and then your end, and then you want to get your radius real high. You just want to set it real high so you can kind of figure out where your focal point is. So we might want something like that. And then you might want to make the end like there. Yeah, there you go. And then the last thing, I mean, honestly, I might just scale these dudes up just to fill the shot up a bit better, and then move my camera maybe a little bit like that. Let's get a couple more fires in there. We could have a fire over here. We could probably have some, actually, we could have some little fires. I think there's a little fire in there. This one here, we could have like some of those up here. And then the last thing would just be getting a couple of like props in there. So if I was to select this and just go and see what props we got, I think we got these like stone statues. I'm not sure what they're called. Let's have a look. Prefab. Yeah, the gravestones. Yeah, those are real cool. So you could chuck a gravestone in and then get it like kind of just help with the framing a little bit. And then you can chuck another one in here, make that a bit smaller, you know, and then you can have these like rotated a little bit because they're like broken or whatever. It's a city in turmoil. So we could just have a couple of those in there, and then you could rotate them down. Have them a little bit broken like that or something like that. Actually, maybe that's not the best one. This one here is kind of cool. So yeah, you could do that. You have a couple of those just in there to help kind of frame it a little bit. Boom. So there you go. That is essentially the shot without posing the characters and setting a whole bunch of stuff up. It gets you most of the way there. I probably would keep grading this a little bit more. So with the global volume again, I would be maybe more vignette just to intensify it a little bit. I think the colors have got a little bit maybe kind of pushed in the wrong direction. So you could take that maybe, and you might want to play with the temperature. We've got temperature in there, which is the white balance. This one here, you could maybe like punch it up a little bit. And then once again, you know, you could push the contrast and then pull the saturation down even further if you really wanted to. You could even go black and white, you know, if you wanted to take it in a different direction there. But yeah, essentially that's what I did for that shot. There's not too much magic to it. The rest of it would just be really taking some of these and just using them to highlight. Like if I was going to do a shot of the face or whatever, I'd want to have, you know, I'd want to have a light kind of casting a bit of a shadow on there and doing that. So you might want to pull that down. So we've got just like a little bit of a highlight there or something. So it kind of gives a bit of shape. But really it's just kind of playing around with it and just seeing what feels good. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That was essentially what I did. So I hope that helped. Cool. Here it is in motion, and I can just full screen that quickly to show you. It's quite cool. There we go. Let's change that to 4K. So yeah, nice and easy. Yeah, cool. Easy to add more stuff to it and play around with other ideas, but that gets you a pretty decent start.